Opening scene, set against a backdrop of rolling waves and a bustling port city in Israel. The camera pans over fishermen casting their nets, merchants trading goods, and people walking along the shores. A slightly disheveled man, Jonah, appears hesitant, pacing along the shore. Voiceover. Have you ever been afraid of a task that seemed too big, too overwhelming, or too risky? This is the story of Jonah, a man called by God to do something he feared, avoided, and even resisted. But Jonah's journey isn't just about his fear. It's about obedience, second chances, and God's incredible compassion. Sit with us today as we dive into this timeless story of Jonah. Transition scene. The camera zooms into Jonah sitting by a campfire at dusk. Voiceover. Jonah, a prophet from Israel, was living a relatively normal life. One day, God gave Jonah a mission. And what was this mission? To travel to a great city called Nineveh and deliver a message to its people. Go to Nineveh, God said, for their wickedness has come up before me. Nineveh, known as a powerful but corrupt city, was home to the Assyrians, who were enemies of Israel. Jonah did not want to deliver this message. Perhaps he feared the people would reject him, or worse, harm him. But most of all, Jonah could not understand why God wanted to show mercy to the people of Nineveh. Scene change. Jonah stands near the docks, looking at ships, deep in thought. The waves crash on the wooden planks. Voiceover. Instead of obeying God, Jonah chose to run. He found a ship headed in the opposite direction, to Tarshish. As the crew prepped the ship to sail, Jonah paid for his passage and boarded. It wasn't just about avoiding Nineveh. Jonah was trying to escape God's presence. But can anyone truly run away from God? Scene change. A dramatic shot of the ship sailing through calm waters with Jonah sitting on the deck, looking over the horizon. Voiceover. For a while it seemed Jonah's plan was working, but soon God sent a powerful storm. Dark clouds loomed over the ship, and fierce winds tossed it like a toy. The sailors were terrified. They cried out to their gods and threw cargo overboard to lighten the load. But the storm only grew stronger. Scene change. The sailors are shown drawing lots by the dim light of lanterns as the rain pours. Jonah sits, anxious as the lot falls to him. Voiceover. The sailors knew this was no ordinary storm. They believed someone on the ship had angered a god. To find out who, they cast lots, and the lot fell to Jonah. They asked, "Who are you? What have you done? Why is this happening?" Jonah admitted, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the God of heaven, who made the sea and the land. It is because of me that this storm has come upon us." Scene change. Jonah stands at the ship's edge, rain pelting his face. The sailors reluctantly prepare to throw him overboard. Voiceover. Jonah told them to throw him into the sea, believing this would calm the storm. The sailors didn't want to harm him, but as the storm grew worse, they prayed and then obeyed Jonah's request, tossing him into the raging waters. At once, the storm stopped. Imagine the sailors' amazement and their newfound respect for Jonah's God. Scene change. Underwater visuals show Jonah sinking into the deep ocean. A large fish swims near him. Voiceover. But this was not the end for Jonah. God had other plans. As Jonah sank, a great fish swallowed him. Can you picture it? Trapped in the belly of this fish, cold, dark, and alone, Jonah had plenty of time to reflect. Scene change. The inside of the fish's belly is dimly lit. Jonah sits, his face illuminated by a faint glow. Voice over. For 3 days and nights, Jonah remained inside the fish. During this time, he prayed. He acknowledged his disobedience and thanked God for sparing his life. He promised to obey if given another chance. Jonah's prayer was heartfelt. "In my distress, I called to the Lord, and he answered me. Salvation belongs to the Lord." Scene change. The fish is shown near a shore, spitting Jonah out onto dry land. Jonah lies on the sand, exhausted but alive. Voice over. God heard Jonah's prayer, and he commanded the fish to release him. Jonah was given a second chance. This time, Jonah obeyed. He traveled to Nineveh and proclaimed God's message. 40 days from now, Nineveh will be overthrown. Scene change. Jonah stands in a bustling city square, addressing crowds as people pause to listen. Voiceover. The people of Nineveh, known for their pride and cruelty, did something remarkable. They believed Jonah's message. They fasted. They prayed. Even the king of Nineveh wore sackcloth, a symbol of repentance, and urged everyone to turn from their evil ways. God saw their repentance and showed mercy. He forgave them. Scene change. Jonah sits outside the city under a small shelter, looking frustrated. Voiceover. Instead of celebrating Nineveh's redemption, Jonah was angry. He struggled to accept God's compassion. "I knew you are a gracious and merciful God, slow to anger and abundant in love," he said. "That's why I ran in the first place." To teach Jonah a lesson, God caused a plant to grow overnight, giving him shade from the sun. Jonah appreciated the plant. But the next day, God sent a worm to wither it, leaving Jonah exposed to the scorching heat. Scene change. A close-up of Jonah, sweating and upset as God speaks to him. Voiceover. God asked, "Is it right for you to be angry about the plant? You cared about it, though you did not make it grow. Shouldn't I have compassion on the people of Nineveh, 120,000 souls who cannot discern their right hand from their left, and even the animals?" Ending scene. The camera pans over the city of Nineveh, its people bustling with a renewed spirit of hope. Voice over. Jonah's story isn't just about his reluctance or disobedience. It's about God's endless compassion and his desire for all people to turn back to him. It's a story that reminds us no one is beyond redemption, and that God's love extends to all, even those we might think undeserving. Final scene. A wide shot of a serene ocean, transitioning into text that reads, "Obey God, extend compassion, trust his plan." Voiceover. So what can we learn from Jonah's journey? Obedience matters. Compassion matters. And ultimately, God's grace is greater than our limitations. Remember Jonah the next time fear or reluctance holds you back. God's plans are always for the greater good.